So here's a question for you. Would you benefit from ongoing support to improve your sales conversations and ultimately close more business? The Sales Maven Society offers you daily support for your urgent sales questions, an extensive library of bite-sized trainings to hone your selling skills, and monthly live coaching calls where you receive individualized coaching from me specific to your business so that you're able to remove any bottlenecks in your sales process. This is the most robust sales coaching program around for an incredible value of only $147 a month. And you can join now for your first month for only $47. You get access to absolutely everything, including the live coaching calls with me. Come check it out and see if this is the place for you to really elevate your business to the next level. You can do this by going to yoursalesmaven.com/society, hit the join now button. And then when it takes you to that page, enter this code, the number 4, the number 7, and the word trial, TRIAL. So 47 trial, all one word, and you'll be a member. I can't wait to see you in there. Now, here's the podcast.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Roush, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, techniques, and strategies to master your sales conversations. Today's episode is an on-air coaching call with our very own society member. It is Marcie Towle. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for having me here.
I'm so excited to dig into this with you today. Before I do that, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
So my business is Dragonfire Coaching, and I'm a parent coach, and I can work with parents of any age kids, but I really love especially working with parents of teenagers and young adults or even older adults. And what I really focus on is helping people build strong relationships with their kids, because it's those relationships that insulate our kids from a lot of the dangers of the world and help them to have the inner wealth, which is a way of saying being strong on the inside for being able to navigate the world. And we as parents have huge opportunity to influence that, but it has to start with relationship. And so that's what I specialize in.
So is it parents that are maybe having a breakdown in communication with their teenage kids or even young adult kids that are typically your like ideal client?
It can be.
Okay.
It can also be sometimes parents with kids that are having some behavior issues or some special needs. Like some of my clients have kids that are have a lot of ADHD or maybe autism spectrum disorder, that sort of thing. And so helping the parents to be able to support their kids in a really strengths-based way. So it could be any of those things.
Okay. I love it. And do you primarily work one-on-one or with the parent, or does the kid come into the conversation or come into the sessions with you at all?
No, I work just with the parent.
Great.
And as far as primarily one-on-one, yes, although I do offer group trainings, but most of the time at Dragonfire Coaching, most of what I'm doing is coaching one-on-one with parents, or sometimes two-on-one, because if I can have both parents there, that's also really exciting for me.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, how can I serve you today? What would be a good use of our time together?
So there is something that I've been struggling with. You know, I mentioned that I also do trainings. So I use a particular relationship model in my coaching work that I coach people on and through and how to use. And I really need them to understand the model before I can coach them. And I feel like it takes me a minimum, I think it would take anyone a minimum of 3 hours of training really to understand the model fully.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm really wanting to do is take this work to people who've never heard of it before. When I get a client that's already had training and knows the approach, great, I can coach them. But I'm wanting to take this to people who've never heard of what I do before and teach it to new people. So they come on the coaching with me, and I'm not finding that I'm being super successful with mixing the training and the coaching. So, I'm trying to figure out, they have other options. There's an online course that I could send them to. That's a really cost-effective option. It's like $90 for 6 hours. That's super cost-effective for them. But my fear is if I send them there for that first of all, I'm making it hard for them to do business with me.
Yeah.
And second of all, they might think they know everything they need to know and never come back after they went and watched the 6-hour course and spend the $90, so that's probably not a good business strategy for me.
Okay. So here is some thoughts around it. I have some, we'll see where it goes. I have some questions, but I also have some thoughts.
Okay.
So I think this is kind of a unique situation in that it's important that they've got some understanding of the modality that you're working in. And do you feel comfortable sharing what that modality is?
Absolutely. It's called Nurtured Heart Approach, and I will tell you as much or as little about it as you would like to know.
Okay. So the online course that kind of teaches them the Nurtured Heart Approach, this $90 course, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, well, could you create your own version of the training of what you would deliver in that? You had said sometimes it takes you kind of 3 hours to get them up to speed. This other course is 6 hours. Could you create a course that's yours, that's pre-recorded, that's on the modality, that's your version of delivering that training, and have it pre-recorded? Is that an option?
I don't think so. I sign a fidelity agreement with the creator of the approach, and I've read that section over and over, and I cannot find wiggle room in the language. I will ask them, but the way I read my fidelity agreement is that no, I'm not allowed to pre-record training.
Okay. Then here's my other thought around it is, why don't you build the cost of that course into your coaching program and you gift them access? You pay for their access to the course and ask them to have gotten through a certain amount of it. And that's part of the coaching program. Now you got to build that into your price, right? So you're not eating that $90 or whatever it is. But you're actually the one who's buying their seat into the training.
I love that so much. I never would have thought of that. I love it.
Okay. Well, that was easy.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I think that's probably. So then that way there is still this built in, of course, we're going to come back for you and get the training. Right? Or get the coaching, not the training, sorry, get the coaching from you. And you can kind of set them up for success, right? You could even set up some kind of check-ins for them to help them kind of get through the training of like, where have you gotten so far? And this could be an automated email series that you set up, and, you could book out their first session, 2 weeks out or whatever from the time that you guys start working together. And so they've got 2 weeks to kind of get through that training. So they're ready when they come to you.
That's brilliant. I love it. See,
good.
This is why I joined the Sales Maven Society for stuff like this. So I could, you're just always so clever and spot on, and you look at things from an angle that I wouldn't look at them from. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. And it is, this is why we all need coaches, frankly, is because sometimes we're so close to something that we can't see our blind spots. And I'm the same way in my own business, right? This is why I pay for high-level coaching and high-level masterminds, and all this is because it really does make a difference when somebody looks at you and goes, well, couldn't you do this? And you're like, yeah, I could do that, but I couldn't have thought of it on my own. So I'm so happy that I got to have this conversation. This was pretty easy. Now, I feel like there might be is there another question? Because we kind of talked about you have something else going on, and I'm happy to spend a couple minutes going through if you have a second question.
Yeah, actually I do. So I recently learned from being in Sales Maven Society that, I should not be letting the prospective clients run the meeting when I'm having a discovery call.
Yes.
Which is something that I have been in the habit of doing. So I'm trying to stop that. But where I'm getting hung up is I get as far as the rapport, greeting, hello, so nice to meet you, glad you are here. And then they're instantly launching into their tale of what's going on with them and their kid and why they want a coach. And I've lost control of the session, and I'm not even getting to do the framing step.
Okay. So I have a couple thoughts around that too. Here's my suggestion so pre-framing to me is so crucial. So for the audience listening, pre-framing is something you do at the start of your consultation discovery calls to really kind of take the lead so that it doesn't kind of go off the rails and you spend a bunch of time listening to their story, because story is a time suck. Even though it's interesting and it's helpful, it's not a really good way to earn business, is to get like in the weeds of somebody's story. So I would suggest for you, because that's happening, that maybe we send an email before the meeting that kind of outlines what's going to happen. And so I would structure it in a way that, so for your benefit, here's a quick overview of the agenda for our meeting. And so then you kind of outline what that agenda is. Now, you're still going to have to say it at the start. You're still going to put your pre-frame in there, but you've kind of prepped, you've kind of like greased the wheels a little bit. So some of your people are going to come prepared, and then they'll take their cues from you because they kind of know what to do next, or they know what's coming next. So you might think about doing that, just a simple, email, make it lots of white space, lots of bullet points, put some bold in there if appropriate, but just like, here's a quick agenda for our consultation call, looking forward to chatting with you tomorrow at 9 a.m. or whatever it is. And then, and just in case for the person where it goes off the rails a little bit and they kind of launch into the story, my suggestion is to, you have to learn how to interrupt in a kind way, right? Like it's hard because especially those of us who are like, our parents raised us like, don't interrupt people, be really kind, let people have their time and their moment and all that. And that's important to do that. But there are times where you have to learn how to interrupt in a kind way, but it's for their benefit too. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll go, oh. So I do something like that. So it like, they have to stop talking now because I've just interrupted. And it's like, oh. I really want to hear this. And just for the sake of our time, is it okay if I start with a couple questions and just make sure that we stay on track? Right? So you do this little interrupter. And sometimes, I'm assuming you're probably on video Zoom with these people. So the other thing is you can add a hand gesture. You can be like, oh, so what I'm doing for the audience, Marcie can see me, but I know not everybody else can for the podcast. But what you do is you kind of hold your hand up almost like in a stop mode, but it's, so let them see it like, oh, yeah. And then you put it down when you start talking, and you soften your voice when you say like, I really appreciate you sharing the story. And just for the sake of time, is it okay if I ask you a couple questions? So you just redirect it.
That's going to be, I'm not going to lie. That's going to be hard.
I know.
I'll work on it though. I will.
Play with your husband, like play with, like you've got some people in your life who I think will play with you a little bit and just see, don't tell him what you're doing, by the way, and just see if he like slows down. And now, he has a different level of rapport with you than these clients. So he might just be like, what are you doing? Or he might just like slow down and stop. And then you'll know like, oh, well, if I can do it with him, I can do it with anybody.
Well, he does sometimes start launching into some long stories, so I should get some pretty good opportunities to practice it on him.
Okay, so yeah, just get playful with it. And if it, and if they kind of go back on the like off the rails again, you can bring it back by saying, again, I so appreciate you sharing. And because we have limited time and it's important for us to figure out if this is the right fit for us to work together. Is it okay if I kind of bring it back around and ask you just a couple more questions before we wrap up today?
That's super helpful. And I also really appreciate that you just used that right fit language, because that's another question I've been sort of meaning to ask. Like, I see people saying those words, and not in, I haven't noticed it. Like, I'm not talking about the Sales Maven Society or anything, but just in the world, let's see if we're the right fit. And I've wondered, what would Nikki say about that language?
Yeah, I think it's okay. I really believe that in a sales conversation, there has to be a balance of power. So you don't want to hold more power than the client, because they'll go away because it'll feel uncomfortable and it'll feel out of alignment. And you don't want to give them more power than you, because they'll take advantage and then they won't see you as credible. So we always want to balance the power. So it's okay to just, now it is how you say it. I'm going to say, I personally believe that you can say almost anything to anybody as long as you say it correctly in a way that they're open to receiving it. So I think sometimes there's a little bit of an attitude with people personally that is I'm superior and I only take on a certain amount of clients, and only certain clients that are, going to do this, this, and this, and are really ready to invest and take action and all that. That sounds like it's all about me as the coach. I don't like that approach, but I do like the approach of, let's make sure this is a good fit for both of us. Because I am establishing that I am assessing you as much as you are assessing me. And especially from a coaching relationship standpoint, because I know from my own experience and in my own business, there are people that I don't enjoy coaching. And there are certain types of people that show up in consult calls with me, discovery calls with me, that I can tell pretty quickly in the conversation, are they even open to coaching with me? Because sometimes people just like to convince me how good they are at sales, which, hey, I'm on board. Like, I'll give you praise. Great. If you just want me to praise you and tell you how amazing you are, but that's not interesting for me, because I don't feel like I'm moving the needle in your business. So I don't want to coach those people. Right. And there will be people that and I know we've had this because you've been sharing in the society about some of the stuff, the challenges that you've had with one particular potential client. And so learning that you don't have to take every person in your business, and really you shouldn't.
And that's been a huge eye opener for me as well. It's like, but I have a new business. If they want to give me money and pay me for what I do, I should take that, right? Well, no, if it's not, because I see what you're saying. And I also feel like if we're not gelling, I'm not really going to help them. And then they're not going to have good things to say about me out in the world either. Right. It's not worth it.
Yeah. We always want to be creating ambassadors. And that means that we have to be somewhat selective on who we take on. And it needs to be people that we can make an impact with, people who are open to really wanting some support and willing to implement. This is why I constantly hammer home, this implementers get results. I say this all the time. I say it on the podcast. I say it in trainings. I say it in the society. It's all the time, because I am always planting this seed. If you're not an implementer, I am not the coach for you. Because the people who implement the stuff that I teach, they get results. And then they shout from the rooftops like, oh my gosh. And there's nothing more fulfilling. Truly, this is my own ego talking, but there's nothing more fulfilling for me than having made an impact in somebody's business because they implemented something I taught them.
Well, that's why you're a coach. That's why you do what you do, because you love seeing people get results. And it's the same with me. I love being able to help somebody look at their situation from a little bit of a different angle and realize what we do in Nurtured Heart Approach is a lot about the energy in the relationship and where you're giving your energy and where you're not. And we're so upside down so often, and it's about getting that energy right. And so it's really helpful to have an outside person say, gently guide you to see where your energy might be going that you don't realize. Yes. So it's so rewarding as a coach when somebody is receptive and implements what you do. So
That's right. Okay. So as we wrap up today, I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, being a relatively new member to the Sales Maven Society, what has been a benefit that you've received from being in the group?
Can I not do just one? There's so many. I am loving it so much. I think the top thing I appreciate that I rave about to all my friends is, oh my gosh, I can post anything in the Facebook page and tag Nikki, and in such a short time, she responds to me and helps me. And I just can't even begin to thank you enough for what a support it's been to me to have you there doing that for me these last few months. It's just made everything so much better. And then, of course, I'm loving meeting all the other members as well. It's such, you really have, I hope that you know that you have built a community that's so supportive, and that's because you are so supportive and warm and friendly. And that's the kind of people that are in the Sales Maven Society. And it's just so much fun.
Thank you. I do love the people in there. And I did hear a little, somebody told me that they were doing some role playing with you, another member. So I was so delighted to hear that the 2 of you are working on the stuff that you're learning and playing with it with each other. That to me just speaks volumes to the quality of you and the person that you're doing this with too. And I'm just so delighted by that. So thank you. Okay. Last question for you is, how can people listening get in touch with you, especially if they're struggling with relationship or wanting some more support in some parenting?
So the easiest way is my website is called dragonfirecoaching.com. And to help a person remember that a little bit, the reason why it's Dragonfire Coaching is because with Nurtured Heart Approach, we ignite greatness. Dragons breathe fire. So it's Dragonfire Coaching, where we ignite greatness. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
It's a little bit under construction right now, but they'll find all my contact information and everything there. So that's probably the easiest.
Okay. All right. Well, I so appreciate that. And all of the contact information will be in the show notes too. So if you want to connect with Marcie, you can definitely do that. Of course, you definitely will find her in the Sales Maven Society. And if you haven't joined us yet and you would like some support in your own business and how to kind of troubleshoot and figure out any of those roadblocks getting in your way, then come hang out with us, because there's some good stuff going on and there are some amazing people in there, and we would like for you to be one of them. You can join right now by going to salesmavensociety.com. If you enter the coupon code 47trial, that's the number 4 and the number 7, and then trial, TRIAL, all one word, 47trial, it'll take $100 off your first month of membership. So we'd love to have you in there. And thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Huge thank you to Marcie for participating, being willing to come on and be vulnerable on an on-air coaching call. I'm super delighted by this. And thank you, Marcie, seriously. And you are just ready to soar, my friend. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you, Nikki. Your support I just can't say thank you enough. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.